finding the area under a normal curve. And what I'm going to use is the empirical rule, which I talked about already, and I'm going to try to write it down really quick. The area between -1 and 1 is 68%. Area between -2 and 2 is 95%. Area between -3 and 3 is 99.7%. And if it's possible, try to remember those. I'm pretty good in the 90, 68 and the 95, but when I get to this one a little bit, sometimes not as clear or certain. Okay, so here's our normal curve right here. And we're talking about standard units, which can also be thought of as standard deviations. Okay, and keep it also in mind, 68% is around 2/3. So 2/3 of a population that's normally distributed are within one standard deviation of the mean. So in standard units, the mean is 0. All right, so, but this holds up for any normal distribution. If you know the standard deviation, the mean, you can say 68% of the population is within one standard deviation of the mean, 95% within 2 standard deviations. Okay, so let's look at an example. Find the area under a standard normal curve. And when I say standard, that means that I'm using as the units standard units between 0 and 2. Okay, so here's 0, and well, I'm going to use the rule, and I'm going to try to use the empirical rule, but use a calculator too. That's a good one. But anyway, here's 95% for this whole area between -2 and 2, but I'm going to look at half of that, and I'm going to use symmetry. So therefore, I'm going to get 95% divided by 2. Well, 95 is an odd number, so dividing it isn't super easy, but we can also use a calculator for that. But 2 goes into 9 4 times, remainder 1, 2 goes into 15, 7 times, and a remainder a half. But I have that dilemma of being a little bit off the page there. Okay. So the answer is 47.5%. Okay, so it's half of 95% is the answer. Let's do another one. Find the area under the normal curve greater than 1 standard unit. Okay, so by the way, maybe I'll just circle that answer up there. Okay, all right, so I'm looking at 1 standard unit, and so I'm going to put that into context of the empirical rule, where here's 0, here's -1, and here's 1, and I'm going to label that 68%. Now, 100% minus 68% is 32%. So outside of -1 to 1 is 32%. All right, so between -1 to 1 is 68%, and then 100 minus 68 is 32. And so that means if I take these two regions here and add them together, which regions? The ones I'm pointing my fingers at. These two guys. Add those together, I get 32. So this guy is going to have to be half of 32. And that's 16%. So the answer is 32% divided by 2, which is 16%. So I think it's good, it's fun, it's a little bit of, adding and subtracting and doing math that way. But you can do this on a calculator, and some people would rather just do that. Okay, so look, what this comes out to be is that if you have something that's normally distributed, say height, and if you know someone is 1 standard deviation above the mean, that means that the people, their height or taller is 68 or 16%. Okay, let's move on to another problem. Little Amazon advertisement. Okay, so let's try another example. Find the area to the left of one standard units on the normal curve. I sort of think maybe I didn't use the best language. What I mean is I'm looking at z less than or equal to 1. So maybe to the left is really very imprecise. But this is precise. Z less than or equal to 1. Okay, here's 1. Here's -1. All right. So I'm looking at everything to the left of 1. What I mean is all that area for less than or equal to 1. Now, what did we already decide or know from the, didn't really decide, we were all told, that's 68% between -1 and 1. So outside of -1 to 1 is 100% minus 68%, which is 32%. So if we go outside of this -1 to 1, we get 32%. Each tail is then 32% divided by 2, which is 16%. So this guy is going to be 16%. The area less than 1 is then, well, it's this tail of 16%. By the way, it's by symmetry. This tail is also 16%. But I'm coloring in everything less than or equal to 1. Is then, so the area is then 16% plus 68%, which equals, well, maybe I'll break down and either use a calculator or doing this, on a piece of paper. 6 plus 8 is 14, carry the 1. And apparently that's 84%. And that's the answer. So maybe I'll write over here. 16% plus 68% equals 84%. So that's in total. What we get there. All right. I feel like now I need to break down and use a calculator, but maybe I'll do that in the next video.